What's up, Notjust developers? Expo SDK 54 beta version has been released and it comes with a lot of exciting features for us. In this video, I want to unpack everything and show you exactly what this means for you as a React Native developer. First of all, Expo SDK 54 comes with React Native 0.81 and React 19.1. It comes with a lot of additional features that are mind-blowing, such as up to 10 times faster build because of precompiled React Native for iOS. It comes with liquid glass support, with liquid bottom tabs, with Android 16 support and all of its benefits. It includes features such as link previews and inline menus for iOS, more customization for over-the-air updates in the Expo Updates package, and a lot more. So if you're interested in seeing this in action, stick to the end and let's give it a try. Let's go ahead and jump right into the Expo SDK 54 announcement. I'm going to skip everything and then we're going to cover everything step by step, and I'm gonna go right away in the how to try out the beta release. I'm going to copy out this command, and in a new terminal I'm going to create a new project with the next version, which is the 54. Later, when this goes out of beta, you are no longer going to need that at next. So this is just for now, for the 2 weeks period while Expo SDK 54 is still in beta. While this is installing, I want to tell you something. If you're a React Native developer, you must be in Wrocław, Poland from September 2 to September 4th, because that's when React Universe is happening. React Universe is a 3-day conference with workshops, with talks from over 25 amazing speakers, and it's an opportunity for you to learn, to discover new things, to meet and network with the React Native ecosystem. If you're interested, we partnered up with React Universe and we're offering our subscribers 20% discount with the code NGD20 at the checkout. So grab your tickets and I'll see you in Poland on September 2. Alright, back to our Expo SDK 54 trial. We have our project set up. Let's go ahead and open it in Visual Studio Code or Cursor. And I'm gonna go ahead and right away open a terminal and run npm start to start the development server. One of the things that I'm going to show first is if we open package.json, we see that Expo, we are using 54 version. For React Native, we are using 0.81 that brings all the updates from the new version from both 0.80 and 81, which we're going to dive deep a little bit later, and also React 19.1. In the terminal, we see that our application is running, and this is something exciting. Experimental React compiler is enabled by default in the new applications. Again, we're going to see that a bit later, how it works. Now, let's go ahead and open it on an iOS simulator or Android or on a physical device. But for that, you're going to need to download the beta version of the Expo Go that is also available through the Expo website. Here, if we're running on a simulator or an emulator, we can install the new version by simply pressing yes and waiting for a second. And here we have it. At the first sight, nothing has changed, so let's slowly unpack step by step everything that has changed. I'm going to pick them randomly, but most importantly for things that I'm mostly excited about. And the first one from the documentation that I'm excited about is coming from Expo Router, and it's this feature that is called Pick and Pop. These are link previews, and they allow us to long press an item, and on iOS we're going to be able to preview the page that we are navigating to. So let's go ahead and see how that works in real life. I'm going to open this link for more details about link previews, and inside our application, let's go ahead and open application tabs. Maybe I'm going to create a new file here for a stack navigator, let's say an about.tsx page, and I'm going to copy paste maybe from Explore. I'm going to take everything and put it in about as well. Now, from the index of our tabs, I'm going to go ahead and instead of this welcome text, or maybe the welcome text is going to be our link, let's call it about us, and let's wrap it inside a link. This link we're going to import as usually from Expo Router, and it's going to navigate to /about. So far, nothing has changed. Like if I long press, nothing is happening. If I press, we're going to be navigated to this page. However, if we want to take advantage of a link previews, what we have to do is we have to wrap our link content in a link.trigger, and then we are going to render a link.preview. And that's it. Now, if I long press, we are going to see the preview of the next page that we're navigating to. Either we can click outside and dismiss, or we can click on it and go there. And if I don't long press but simply press, it's the usual transition to the new screen. How awesome is that? And the cool part is that it took, what, 3 or 4 lines of code. If we look into documentations of link preview, you're going to see that we can customize these preview links. You can display custom sizes for them with width and height. You can also choose a custom preview. So if, for example, you have a very complicated screen, but you only want to show maybe a thumbnail of an article, let's say, you can do that by wrapping things inside the link preview. Because if you don't wrap it, it's going to simply render the screen behind. So here in this case, if you wrap an image, you're going to see just the image when you long press. Another cool thing is that with the same feature, we get menus. We can render context menus using this link menu. So if I will copy this link menu and add it in the link itself after the preview, and for the handle press, I will do maybe nothing, and here as well. We're going to see that if I go ahead and long press this one, we're going to see the link preview, and below it, we're going to see the link menu. This is a very cool feature. I'm very excited that it adds support to the latest things that are already available for native iOS applications. When it comes to Android, React Native now targets Android 16 with the API 36. That has some implications, and the first one is that now edge-to-edge is now always enabled, because in Android 16, the edge-to-edge will be enabled in all Android applications and cannot be disabled. So if you haven't already migrated, now is the time, and you can read more about here, like what does that mean. Another feature from Android 16 is the predictive back gestures, and this is going to be enabled by default in all applications, in all new applications with Expo, and it's going to be disabled for old applications, but you can adjust that by going to app.json in Android. You have here predictive back gestures, and you can enable and disable. I recommend enabling it because later on this is not going to be possible to opt out, so your application will have to support it. If I bring an Android here, the predictive back gesture means that when we swipe left to go back, the Android system will kind of preview the previous screen where you're going to go back. So this is what predictive back gesture means. That's all the big news for Android. However, when it comes to iOS, there is a lot more exciting in store. So first of all, Expo SDK 54 comes with support for liquid glass, the new Apple design system that allows us to use these liquid style elements. First things first, we get support for liquid glass application icons, and we build them using the Icon Composer. Let me show you what that means. Icon Composer is a new application available for macOS only, and you can create glass icons for your application. Here is the Icon Composer. You can go ahead and drag and drop an icon there. For example, let me try to bring this one here, and you can manage and adjust it based on your needs. For example, if I press on the icon, we can change the color to something like this. You can preview how it will look on iOS, on watchOS. You can see how it's going to look on dark mode, in default mode, and in the tinted mode. You can also see it on a background, how it's going to look. And after you've done your changes here, you can simply save this file as icon, and then go ahead and drag and drop that generated file inside your assets. This is going to be a folder with the name icon.icon, and it's going to contain some JSON files and some assets generated by the Icon Composer. Now, inside your application under iOS, you can go ahead and specify the icon and link it to the assets icon.icon. This is replacing the old way of setting the light icon and the dark icon and the tinted one for iOS. So after we are rebuilding this, we're going to see how this looks in practice. So we're going to see the icon in a second, but before we do that, let's go back and see the other new stuff. For example, the liquid glass. How we can use it? For that, we can leverage the Expo UI library, and it already contains some modifiers to create liquid style backgrounds for our views. It also has button variants for the new liquid style as well. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to Expo UI. This is a new library. It's currently in alpha. I think it's should be in beta in Expo SDK 54, but maybe only for iOS. And to install it, we're going to simply run npx expo install expo/ui. So let me do that here. And because it's not available in Expo Go, we're going to have to create a dev client. So first of all, I'm going to install the Expo dev client as well. And now I can run npx expo prebuild. Prebuild is going to create my Android and iOS folders, which I'm interested in, and then we can build the native side project. However, in order to leverage and use the Glass system, we are going to have to build our iOS application using the Xcode 26, which is now in beta. So I'm going to go ahead and open Xcode beta. I'm going to open an existing project. I'm going to go to my application, navigate to the iOS folder and open the workspace, this one. From here, I'm going to choose the iPhone 16 Pro, and the iPhone 16 Pro is also running iOS 26, the system that supports the liquid glass. We're going to wait a bit for the application to build, and we should be ready to use liquid glass in our application. All right, after the application is built, we see the new icon here that we generated with an icon composer. We can also see how it's going to be adjusted when we change in the customize to the dark mode or to the clear mode. And if we open our application, we're going to be greeted right away with something new. This is the new development launcher that has been rewritten in Expo SDK 54. Nothing huge, but it's a really nice touch to the interface. So let's go ahead and press continue. Here is our application. Again, nothing crazy we can see at the moment, but it gives us the possibility to do some interesting stuff. Anyway, first of all, we are going to see already native features like the tab bar with a back button, having the new iOS Glass system. And if we actually go back to the home screen of our dev client, go home, we're going to see here at the bottom the nice bottom tab native navigation with also Glass UI. We're going to see how we can implement this in our application as well in a second. But now let's go ahead and give it a try to implement and render some Glass UI views. I'm going to go into the tabs. I'm going to create a new tab here, test, and we should have here the test screen. Let's go back. Let's go to the blog post and let's copy some examples from here. For example, this one is going to show us the Glass modifier for a view. So I'm going to copy this one from here, and I'm going to paste it instead of my text. For that, we need to import a couple of things from Expo UI, the host and the HStack and the modifiers as well, like this. The text from React Native, we no longer need it. Now if I'm going to test here, so we don't see it, but if I remove a line item center and maybe do a reload, we should see the regular Glass effect for our HStack here. Nothing crazy so far, but if I'm going to add a background image, we're going to see this in action. So I'm going to drag and drop a nice image. Let's call it wallpaper, and let's import it here. And here, if I render this wallpaper as the background, we see the Glass effect here. We can go ahead in this modifier, and by pressing on the variant, we're going to be able to see what other variants we have, regular, clear, and identity. So if I do clear, we're going to have a clear view. And in this case, maybe the text should be white or maybe something else, not very visible, but the regular one is really nice. So this glass effect modifier can be applied to any components that accepts modifiers such as the stacks, views, Y stacks, and so on. But there is also the button, and the button can have a variant. So if I'm going to take these two buttons with a V stack and render it maybe below this stack and make sure to import the new components like V stack and button from Swift UI, from Expo UI. And if I go here, for some reason they are rendered on top of each other, but maybe I will comment out this previous one. Now we have two buttons, one with a glass variant, the bottom one, and one with a glass prominent at the top. We have also nice animations when we click them because we are using actually native Swift UI buttons. Again, there is not a lot of documentation around this yet. So to know more about that, we should just dive into the TypeScript declaration. For example, on the variant, I can click here and I can click again on the button variant, and we can see all the different variants that we have, such as glass, glass prominent, bordered, borderless, plain, and so on. Another cool thing of using React Native is, because we are using native components, is that every time these native components are being changed on the platform level, we get this update automatically. Let me show you what I mean by simply saying on press here, I will display an alert from React Native. So this alert is coming from React Native and is rendering a native alert component. If I press now on this button here, we're going to see the alert in action. You can adjust it and customize. For example, the next one is going to be the message. Then we can give a list of buttons. And after the list of buttons, we can also give here some options, such as, let me remember what are the options. I'm looking for the user interface. So for the user interface, I can choose dark. And now if I'm going to press on this alert, we get this updated native alert on iOS and also on Android if there are any updates. I'm not following that much. Cool. So these are the ways we can use native glass in our React Native and Expo application by leveraging the Expo UI. This library is still new. There is going to be a lot of breaking changes, but it looks really nice and gives us a lot of native components that you can look more here, such as the buttons, progress bars, speakers, like a bunch of them. Now going back to our documentation, another thing that I want to show you when it comes to native glass is actually coming from Expo Router. So let me scroll down here and we see that Expo Router has beta support for native tabs on iOS and Android. Let's go ahead and see what does that mean. Native tabs is also experimental at this moment, and it allows us to render on iOS native glass tab navigation. For that, we're going to import from Expo Router /unstable native tabs. It's unstable for now, later on it's going to get stable at one point. So let's go ahead in our tabs in the layout and let's import the native tabs here. Let's go ahead and also take this example of rendering the native tabs, and I'm going to replace my tabs with these ones. We see only one screen because for the second one it's not settings, but let's do it explore. Now we see two of them, and these are the beautiful native tabs with liquid style. How beautiful is that? A couple of things is that they're a little bit different compared to other navigators like Tab Navigator, where we are using options and so on. Here we are rendering icons that are also coming from the native tabs and labels. And by default, other navigators, if we do not provide the name here, they are going to be automatically displayed with the default name. In this case, with native tabs, if we are not rendering them inside the native tabs, they are not displayed in our component. That's something to keep in mind. Maybe it's going to be different in the future, but for now, this is how it works. There is also a lot of customization. You can read more in the documentation. You can also display badge icons like here and customize the whole tab bar. Those were the biggest visual things that I could show you here. Now let me quickly go through the blog post again and mention other important stuff that is important that are coming with the Expo SDK 54. The big updates are coming for Expo updates and EAS update. With this one, probably it needs a separate video where I can teach you how to use everything. But long story short is that we can now set the HTTP headers for the updates. What does that mean? That means that from our code, we can point to different updates channel depending on some conditions. This allows us to implement features like subscribing your own customers to the staging channel updates so that they would receive over-the-air updates from the staging channel, and all our users to subscribe them to production. And that can be done using this set update request headers override by setting the right channel. Another important thing is the use updates hook now includes the download progress. So if you are downloading the update, you can display in the UI a progress bar, giving users more feedback of what's happening. And after you download an over-the-air update, you would usually run the reload async to reload the JavaScript bundle. And now the reload asyncs can accept the reload screen options, which has the possibility for us to give an image, a background color, and a fade animation. And that is going to be displayed while the JavaScript bundle is updated in the background. This is way better than having a blank screen while these things is happening, and it's really cool. So if you're using Expo EAS to send updates, this is a big news for you. You can improve a user experience for what's happening when these updates are being implemented. Another thing I want to mention, which is actually very important and makes me very happy, is that React Native for iOS now comes precompiled. What does that mean? That means that when building the application from scratch on iOS, we're not going to have to compile React Native. That leads to faster build times, and based on the tests, the React Native tester application went from 120 seconds build time to 10 seconds. That's a massive improvement, and it's up to 10 times faster build times for iOS. However, it's important to mention that these huge differences are noticed on smaller projects where React Native is the main library that is being compiled. If you have a lot of other dependencies, of course you do. So in larger projects, this difference, this change is not going to be that noticeable. So it's not going to be 10 times faster builds in all applications because other dependencies still have to be compiled. However, every movement in the direction of improving and making it faster to build our application is very good, because build times on native applications is one of the biggest pains for developers. Besides faster build times, this is also a change that is opening the doors and bringing it closer to be able to move from CocoaPods to Switch Package Manager for React Native and Expo projects. Speaking about compilers, React compiler is now enabled by default in the default template. So it's already stable, it's recommended to be used in projects, and we can see it in practice. For example, I have this application running. I'm gonna go ahead and press J to open the debugger. And in the debugger here in the components view, if you scroll down for a bit, you're going to see already this memo label for the components that has been auto-memoized by the React compiler. Long story short, React compiler is automatically memoizing your components, your functions, in order to speed up your applications. So this is going to basically replace the use memo, use callbacks that we had to use manually to memoize some of our components. That means that we can skip using the use callback, use memo for expensive functions and leverage the React compiler for doing this automatically for us. Another important thing to remember is that the SDK 54 is the final SDK version that is going to include the legacy architecture. So this is coming from React Native itself. The legacy architecture has been frozen, but means it's not going to get a lot of attention or a lot of bug fixes. Packages nowadays already are shipping with support only for the new architecture, such as the React Native Reanimated, the Shopify Flash List, and so on. And if you haven't already, probably now is the time to switch to the new architecture. Nowadays, the support across the industry and all the dependencies that we have is much better than it was a couple of months or years ago. So based on the Expo, 75% of the projects built on EAS are using the new architecture. Speaking about React Native 0.81, there are a couple of things that are also changed there, obviously, but I mean things that affect us. One of the most noticeable change is that the safe area view from React Native has been deprecated. So if you're going to import safe area view like this, you're going to see that it has been declared deprecated, and this is coming hand in hand with the Android changes to move to edge. So the recommended safe area view nowadays is going to be React Native safe area context. I know a lot of developers, a lot of projects are already using it, but if you're not using it yet, if you're still using safe area view from React Native, now is the time to move to the safe area context. React Native 0.81 is also removing the GSS and is moving it to a community package. This should not affect you if you're using Hermes. However, if you're still using the old JavaScript engine GSC, then make sure to upgrade where you're using it from. Check it out here in the React Native community package. All right, so these are by far not all the updates that are coming to Expo SDK 54, to the Expo React Native 0.81. There are so much more, and I encourage you to go read the documentation, dive deeper, try it for yourself, try to upgrade already to the Expo SDK 54, help the team from Expo with bug reports, because the beta period is 2 weeks and then it's going to be released as stable. I hope in this video I covered all the most important things that are coming and things that I'm excited about, and I cannot wait to implement and integrate in my own applications. Let me know down in the comments what are you excited about the most. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel not to miss future React Native and Expo content. I'll see you later. Bye bye.